Now, a few weeks back, the trailer for the upcoming Star Wars Disney Plus series, The Acolyte, dropped and was met with quite the backlash from fans, receiving, as of today, 674,000 dislikes to only 190,000 likes, which is not only the most disliked Star Wars series ever, according to the trailer reaction, and by a long shot, but also, honestly, one of the most downvoted videos I've personally ever seen here on YouTube. Though, in all reality, it's not entirely, or even mainly, I'd argue, a rejection of the trailer, or even necessarily the show itself. Because, in all honesty, I don't think the trailer looked all that bad. Mind you, I don't know that it was anything all that special either, but it certainly didn't look so bad that it deserved more than 2/3 people giving it a big thumbs down. Instead, this trailer and show mainly has received such a negative reaction because of its showrunner, that being Leslie Headland, who not only has said some things that, right or wrong, deserved or not, have irritated some fans. Things both about what this show will be like or do, saying it will be unkind to the Jedi, for example. There was even a cast member who said Star Wars isn't about good versus evil. And there has also been some things said by her in the past that were taken as a slight against George Lucas himself. Things that implied he receives too much credit for Star Wars when she feels many others were involved in its creation and deserve a ton of credit as well, which honestly I don't exactly disagree with, though without Lucas there is and never would have been Star Wars in the first place. But anyway, this trailer is also getting backlash because, again, right or wrong, many feel she'll inject a bit too much of her own personal beliefs into the show and they don't want that either. They don't see Star Wars as an outlet for someone's personal agenda when most people go to see Star Wars these days to escape that sort of thing. And yes, I know George Lucas originally injected a lot of his own political beliefs right into Star Wars, but this is a different world we live in now. We are hit with political opinions all the time these days, and as I just said, many want entertainment to be an escape from that. However, here, I think by far the biggest reason for the backlash to this trailer and the show in general is that she, Leslie Headland, was the personal assistant of Harvey Weinstein for about a year, and he, of course, did some very, very bad things that many feel she must have known something about, and did nothing about. Now, in all fairness and in her defense, there is no proof she knew anything or did anything wrong. We should not condemn someone without evidence or simply because of an association with a monster, even if, that association was a personal assistant. Either way, fair or not, it doesn't look good, does it? It doesn't look good to work what you'd have to imagine to be very closely with someone who was doing very, very horrible things. And therefore she feels like a really odd choice for a family-friendly franchise like Star Wars. This just doesn't feel like the best look ever for a company like Lucasfilm and Disney. And again, looking at those numbers for the trailer, a lot of people agree it's a big L for Lucasfilm here, that she should have never been hired for this position. Again, fair or not, considering there is no evidence against her. But unfortunately for Lucasfilm and Disney, after, a rather well-received trailer for Tales of the Empire a week or so ago, there's been another trailer and another controversy surrounding a piece of Star Wars content, and another backlash from the fans, this time for the game Star Wars Outlaws from Ubisoft. And once again, or like with the Acolyte, it's not even necessarily the product itself, if you will, that is the main issue, though yes, there are complaints about the game that we will get to a bit later. Instead, it's mainly just Ubisoft being Ubisoft. It's mainly their ridiculous practices and pricing. People are getting very, very sick and tired of these different pricing tiers that go up rapidly in price, but not so much in actual value, especially with how buggy game launches tend to be these days, which makes that 3 days of early access feel more like 3 days of paid beta testing. I really think a lot of gamers, or mainly just those gamers who are a bit on the older side and remember the glory days of video games, but they miss the days of being able to go to a store and pick up a physical disc or cartridge with, the finished and complete and polished game right on it forevermore. And if you wanted to buy some sort of collector's edition for the release of a very popular or exciting game, it didn't mean getting a part of the game that was being withheld for reasons or for greed. It meant getting extra actual physical stuff, which, sometimes could be pretty cool or worth the extra couple dollars. It sure as hell didn't mean getting a digital art book. What even is that? Or a few extra skins to look at while you play that should just be unlocks in the game. or getting a season pass that, in this particular case for Outlaws, has 2 extra missions, one of which will be available at launch, which really just feels like they're withholding it to charge more or a higher price or to make you pay for a higher tier simply because they can. And what's really crazy is, if you don't count the value of the 3 days early access, which comes at that $110 tier, you're paying $40 for those 2 extra missions alone and some skins that really shouldn't count as anything, which is then, if you do the math here, which I'm guessing they're hoping you don't, is over half the price of the original game. So should I therefore expect those 2 missions to add over half the playtime of the original game on top of it? And if not, what is it about those 2 missions that makes them worth the price? And if they're so good, why wouldn't you just put them right in the game to show how great your game is? Why do I need to pay over half the original price all over again? And let's not forget that there's every chance there will be microtransactions in this game as well. And though, sure, you can absolutely vote with your wallet here and not buy the game at all, and I'm sure plenty of people will do just that, or you can buy the base package and ignore any microtransactions they add and just play the game for what it is, but you know there's going to be a lot of people who are, shall we call them, foolish Star Wars fans out there, who will absolutely opt for that $130 tier to get virtually nothing for that extra $60 simply because they're Star Wars fans and they just love buying Star Wars stuff. And honestly, that is just a bad look for Star Wars, or for Disney and Lucasfilm, I should say, to let this kind of shady stuff be done with your property. In my opinion, this is another huge L for Lucasfilm and Disney. They should not allow Star Wars to be exploited like this, even though, yeah, they kind of exploit it themselves from time to time. And speaking of bad looks, I know there are a lot of people who are questioning the look of the main character of Outlaws, Kay Vess. That, to be blunt about it, she looks rather plain when the real-life person the character is modeled after isn't, so plain looking. Which means this was a very conscious decision and effort to make her look this particular way, to make her not look so good, to, again, be very blunt about it. And, of course, a lot of people have been pointing this rather curious little oddity out and asking why they purposely did this to the character, which tends to get them called incels or something along those lines. They get told that, no, not every woman in the real world is that gorgeous or has a perfect body, and if the only reason you play a game or watch something is for the eye candy, then you really need to go outside and touch some grass and see some real women or something. But the thing is, we all know this already. Guys know not every woman looks just like the ones we see in a lot of video games or movies or anime or whatever it might be. The same way we also know that, no, we men tend not to look like a lot of the male characters we see in video games, movies, anime, and whatever. Nor are we as capable or able to do some of the things, or most of the things, we're able to do in the games we play via these characters. Thus, one of the reasons why we play these games or watch movies or whatever it might be is to be able to see and experience things that are beyond the norm or even well beyond the scope of our everyday reality. I do not play video games to play as myself or be reminded of the world right outside my front door. If I liked games like that, I'd probably just be playing The Sims all the time. For example here, I don't need or want Kratos to look just like me or to have my abilities to feel better about myself. I'm not getting very far in the game if that's the case. Nor am I going to be confused about what real men are or should be like because I play as him or I've played as many other godlike characters, male characters, in the video games I've played over the years. The same way I, as a man, know that no, not every woman in the world looks like Lara Croft or can do the things she can do. All that said, I really don't care what Kay Vess, again the main character in Outlaws, looks like, nor do most people, I'd argue. But clearly the people who made the game did. Again, it was a conscious decision to make her look the way she does in this game, and, I don't know, to try to teach gamers a lesson that they honestly don't need to be taught. No one is under the impression that video games and or the characters that populate them are a representation of the real world in which we live. Again, that is the opposite reason of why we even play games in the first place. And believe it or not, it's okay to enjoy looking at pretty things. It is okay to want to see beautiful people in games and movies. It doesn't give you a twisted sense of reality or make you a weirdo or a creep. It makes you an average human being, which is okay and what pretty much all of us are. And even those who are beautiful, well, that beauty is fleeting and one day it will fade away too. We're just average people living normal lives who every so often like to escape from that and to admire or be things that we very much know cannot and do not generally exist in reality. Well, that's all I got for you this time. Now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you think about any and all of this. Are you planning on buying and playing Outlaws, or are you passing on it? And what do you think about the main character in the game? Why do you think she was made to look the way she was, and do you care? Whatever you think about any of it, leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.